Let's take a look at concepts in culture and organizational culture and safety culture. This is an image that was taken on April 26, 1986. Do you recognize what this is? It's an image from outside the town of Pripyat in what was then the USSR at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The role of a safety culture in preventing accidents came to prominence following the deadly Chernobyl reactor explosion. Investigators from the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, concluded a safety culture must be created and maintained in order to maintain safety and prevent future catastrophes. But what is culture? We can think of culture as a pattern of individual and group behavior derived from beliefs and values held by group members. Behaviors then follow from a person's beliefs and values. The behaviors are visible, but the underlying forces that drive those behaviors are not always obvious. In a moment, we'll talk about the implication of this, which is that shifting behaviors requires a change in a person's beliefs and values. Let's look more closely at the idea of culture with respect to safety. We can think of safety culture as the effect that culture has on safety outcomes. To be more precise, safety culture is the extent to which safety is prioritized over other legitimate competing organizational objectives. These other objectives might include financial performance, service quality, or corporate initiatives around equity or other topics. This can illustrate some of the complexity of sustaining a positive safety culture. For instance, a senior executive in a large organization that provided outdoor adventures and other experiences made the decision that a new type of outdoor program would be established, and this would provide financial and other benefits to the institution. However, the staff assigned to create the brand new offering didn't have the specialized knowledge and perhaps the time and budget to set it up. But they were told to make it happen and feared losing their job if they didn't. So the outdoor activities were offered, but without good safety systems in place. An external safety review revealed that cultural problems at the executive level likely led to safety problems with the newly established outdoor experiences. It's helpful to remember that any organization has many different safety cultures in different departments or parts of the institution. Let's take a moment to consider three complications that outdoor programs specifically may experience with respect to safety culture. Risk is an inherent component of outdoor programs that have adventure, exploration, or travel components. Staff leading outdoor activities might seek a personal challenge for themselves, in the process encouraging participants to engage in higher risk activities than necessary. And many outdoor activity leaders are relatively young, no older than their mid-20s, which in the human factors section we'll see is a risk factor in itself. If our safety culture is not optimal, how do we go about supporting the development of a positive safety culture? Safety culture is expressed by behavior, and to shift behavior, we must work to build an environment where individuals have the opportunity to consider what they hold to be true and what they prize as important, and make adjustments that enhance safety culture. This process of changing beliefs and values in an organization is the corporate change management process, and it has the same elements whether the focus is on safety or any other aspect of workplace culture. The change management process starts when leaders articulate the corporate values they wish staff to hold, explain what safety-related behaviors are sought, encourage approaches like systems thinking, put money and other resources into the effort, establish negative consequences for unwanted safety behavior and positive consequences for pro-safety actions, and finally, keep trying to improve the safety culture. Let's look at each of these in a little more detail. A value as simple as safety is important to us is most easily established when the most powerful people in the organization clearly state that it's a company value. It should be stated in writing and verbally multiple times in multiple ways. It's important to remember that culture starts at the top. It's set by those in an organization who have the most power. These are sometimes individuals who are rewarded for financial performance rather than safety metrics, and who may be less motivated to sacrifice short-term financial results for investments in risk management. We're familiar with the idea of expected behaviors. This shows up in the form of anti-harassment policies in the employee handbook, for example, or conducting background checks and medical screening, or in field manuals that tell us to wear helmets and PFDs and give safety briefings before activities. Expected behaviors may also involve avoiding a checklist culture or compliance culture that emphasizes rotely following safety rules. instead balancing procedure following with using judgment, staying alert and engaged, and constantly scanning the environment for signs of potential problems. Encouraging systems thinking can look like many things, from anticipating unexpected consequences to seeking underlying causes of incidents to engineering in resiliency. It's really easy to say, safety is a top priority, but it's much harder, yet vital, to regularly invest the staff time, money, and focus to make that slogan come alive. We discourage inappropriate behavior through discipline and enforcing rules and modeling positive safety behaviors. And awards and other formal or informal recognition and peer pressure can reinforce positive actions. Finally, administrators should implement a management system to assess how well culture shift efforts are working and to identify and implement appropriate changes to make the culture change effort most effective. I want to mention one systems-oriented approach to safety incidents, which is the idea of just culture. When an accident happens, it's easy to blame the person closest to the incident. You're the rock climbing site manager. The participant fell while climbing and got hurt. It's your fault and you're fired. But in a just culture environment, we look deeper to find the underlying influences that led to the incident, perhaps issues of training or corporate culture or program design. When we focus on the fundamental causes of the incident, we're better prepared to prevent it from recurring, and we treat people more fairly. This helps us communicate about incidents rather than hide them, and empowers the organization to better manage risks. Recognizing culture issues and making changes to an organizational culture is not easy. The assistant instructor on a month-long wilderness expedition for at-risk youth run by a large and well-established outdoor program was struck and killed by lightning while at a campsite on the edge of a lake. The organization's leadership initially considered the event to be an unpredictable freak accident, but then blamed the lead instructor for not keeping the assistant leaders safe. It wasn't until a couple years had passed that the organization came to recognize that a core contributing factor to the incident was a culture of rule breaking and being rebellious in some staff of the at-risk program division, a staff group with a bit of a tough guy attitude and a history of bending rules. This was a cultural norm that was known and tolerated by administrators. These cultural norms had a role in leading the trip leaders to not follow lightning safety procedures, ending with the death of the instructor. Shifting the culture in a situation like this can take persistent, skilled effort and investment over multiple years. Let's review key concepts around safety culture. A positive safety culture is an essential part of outdoor risk management. Culture is an integrated pattern of individual and group behavior based on shared beliefs and values. In a positive safety culture, safety is given an appropriate prioritization among other legitimate competing organizational goals. Establishing and maintaining a positive culture of safety is a change management process where desired behaviors and values are established and structures are set up to foster those behaviors and values in members of the group. And finally, just culture reminds us to look at underlying causes to incidents rather than reflexively blaming the person immediately responsible.